What's good, everybody? Welcome to Bleav in Clippers. I'm your host, Mr. BJ Mathews, aka B Jizzle. Thank you guys for following us on all social media platforms: Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Go and check us out on Bleav in Clippers. And also, last but not least, make sure you guys support us, the number one Clipper podcast out here. All right, so we have a very, very good guest to y'all today with the LA Clippers. Very, very good friend of mine, a person with the Los Angeles journalism and the Clippers as a beat writer. One of my favorites, obviously, and also just a great person all around. I want to welcome my man Tomer Azarly. What's good, my brother?
Thanks, BJ. Thanks for having me. I'm good. I'm good. How are you doing? Everything good?
Oh man, everything's great, man. Just moving in transition, you know how that goes. Tell me a little bit about the off season so far. How you been doing?
Good, man. I mean, once summer league died down, it was all we kind of still focused on the Olympics, and there was a lot going on there. Watching Team USA from afar, doing some social media stuff. But now that that's been done, we've been kind of just actually rolling back and just chilling for a bit here while we have for the season to get back. So finally, some dead time here before the season kicks back up in what, just about a month.
Yeah. So let me just ask you this before we get into it. So, are you more into the end season as far as the games and stuff like that and the press and all that? Are you more into that part of the job, or do you really like your downtime and the off season where you get a chance to kind of kick your feet up?
Uh I definitely, it's a little bit of both because, during this time you can't wait for the season to get back, and then once the season gets back, it's an absolute grind for like 6 or 7 straight months. If the team you cover has a deep playoff run, you got to do all those. Like I cover the finals every year, so that's another
Mm.
2 to 3 weeks there potentially. So there's not a lot of like actual, month. There's not like a month off until you get here. So, but I really do enjoy that. I do enjoy this time off, getting to kind of see some of my best friends, some of their kids, and just make sure I'm touching base with everyone that I wasn't able
Mhm.
to as much as I wanted to during the season. So it's a mix. I think it's a good balance you have to strike between working in the grind there and also the off season where we finally get to chill for a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So you did cover the finals this year. So before we even get into the Clippers and Clipper business, what was your thoughts about how the finals went? The Boston Celtics win the championship. They obviously passed the Lakers and all that stuff, man. So tell me a little bit about what you thought of the NBA finals and the experience.
Oh, I mean, it was great to be in Boston again. I was there in 22 for the Warriors Celtics series. Um, no, I mean Boston was by far the better team. They were the best team all year. I think a little bit of doubts that I had just came from during the year where they've been here before. They've been the best team in the league in my opinion for a while. Just never got it done. Like they should have won that 22 finals by far. Tatum and Brown just disappointed that series. Steph went in God mode. They probably should have reached the finals last year. 23 instead of the Miami Heat. That would have been a much better matchup against the Nuggets. So, um, I think they were always one of the best teams. It's not the best team. They just didn't, close. They needed to close. They needed to finally get there and win it. So, nah, that was good for them. It was kind of like getting a monkey off their back. I spoke to Jason Tatum at one point, and he was like, "Yeah, it was just, I was getting so much crap and so much flack for can he actually do it? Can he close the job?" And he said he said himself it felt like a relief and something a huge weight off his shoulders to win that and finally get that off his back. So, yeah, I mean Boston was fantastic all year, fantastic for a couple of years. The addition of Drew Holiday was great, um, and I think they will probably be in really, really, really good position to repeat next year. I don't really know who else really sticks out like that in the East. So I think they have a really
Mm,
good chance to repeat.
no doubt, no doubt. So obviously, let's get into it, man. Clipper business. Obviously, a lot of stuff didn't happen up until you were here last time around February, March, like we just discussed. Obviously, the Clippers did not get the job done in the playoffs. And we're talking about our chances of getting to the finals this year because I personally believe everybody's healthy. I think we could have got to the finals. Obviously, that didn't happen with Kawhi being out with the knee injury. Paul George and James Harden had to carry the load. Let's talk about the playoffs and the disappointment of us not accomplishing our goals. What was your initial thoughts, and what are your thoughts after kind of sitting on them the last few months up until now?
I mean, entering that series, I thought there was no way the Clippers would win that series without Kawhi Leonard healthy. There was a lot of kind of like cautious optimism that he'd be available. Um, as the play as kind of the regular season ended and the playoffs were about to start, there was some cautious optimism, but that kind of waned as that week of practice we had, where it kind of became obvious he wasn't ready, and still wasn't ready even when he came out there. So I never thought they could beat him, beat the Mavs without Kawhi. Upon watching the first 4 games, I actually thought they could beat the Mavs without Kawhi. Um, I thought there was a very interesting um, kind of role player and then star. There was an ability for both role players and stars to make it like a significant impact. Like we saw PJ Washington, Derek Jones were great. Like I think Zubats and Terrence Mann were huge for the Clippers. The only thing to me is that the stars didn't really show up for the Clippers as much. I mean, James Harden had a solid series. Probably the best Clippers player in that series. Maybe 1A, 1B with Zoo. And then PG had like one great game in game four, that second half of that first half of game four, excuse me. But he was pretty disappointing throughout that postseason run. So I was actually surprised because again, through 4 games when they won that game four, I was like, oh, they can actually beat the Mavs without Kawhi. I think the formula is there. They just unfortunately didn't get it done. So um, yeah, I mean, it kind of played out the way I thought it did to begin the postseason. Paul and James are kind of, as great as they are and as great as they've had some big playoff performances. I think they're also known for having a couple of, clunkers out there in the postseason. So that kind of showed itself. And I think ultimately, though, the biggest thing you take away is that Kawhi wasn't healthy again and that they just weren't able to see what they could do. Um, you know, Stinkers happen. You have disappointing games, but
Right. Right.
consistently
Right.
not having the ability to just see what you can do when you're fully
Right.
healthy, I think is the worst part. So that's the biggest takeaway. That just once again for the third or fourth straight year they just couldn't be healthy. So um, it is what it is.
Yeah, and see, I'm glad you brought out that last point. When being healthy, that's the biggest thing. Like you said, everybody's gonna probably have bad moments, bad games, and I think of PG and James Harden. They're great players, but what Kawhi is that they're not is they're Kawhi's the closer. So those 2 games, that games 5 and game 6 that PG and James didn't really show up. Well, they're going to be inconsistent here and there. That's when you bring in, the Kawhi Leonards or the guys who actually make the big money to close those moments. So when you don't get the opportunity to have them, I'm like, you're pretty much putting it on a silver platter for Dallas to take advantage. Kawhi not being healthy again for a fourth time. This is the first time I've seen him come back, and they lost the 2 games with him. How did you feel about that? They won 2 games without him, and they lost 2 games with him.
I mean, he hadn't played any basketball before he came back. He wasn't ready to come back. He shouldn't have come back. Not just not speaking from like, oh, the Clippers had something going. They were probably better off without Kawhi. They're not better without Kawhi, but he just wasn't ready to come back, and he shouldn't have come back. I think he was just so mentally frustrated with dealing with this again that he was like, screw it, let me just go out there and try to do something. I think it was very apparent in his movements. I think game two is when he played in the home. Um, I think he was okay. He looked like a guy who hadn't played ball, but I think you wanted him out there, and then didn't respond the way he wanted to game three, and then didn't respond well in that game three and after game three. And I think they just made the smart decision to shut him down. There's no point risking any further injury and a guy overcompensating on one leg than the other or something like that. It's unfortunate, but there's no point in forcing it. So he wasn't ready to play. He shouldn't have played, and I think they made a good decision to kind of shut him down when they did.
Do you think it's appropriate for because you Joey Law, y'all the closest when it comes to the players for the most part, being around them all the time, and then Farbar too, he's in there as well. But you think it's appropriate for you to kind of explain to the masses how bad Kawhi wants to play, and his ability not to play is not solely on him, but how the team pretty much actually monitors him. Like, what is your implications on the medical staff and all that stuff? What are your understanding about that?
Oh, I mean, there's no question he wants to play. I think um, this is a guy. I think basketball is everything in his life as far as like aside from his family. I think he's just solely focused on basketball. I think he's very he does so much work in the off season. Granted, he doesn't play a lot of 5-on-5 from what I understand, but um, he does a lot of work in the off season and he works a lot to be there. It's just unfortunately his body is just for one reason or another, at different points in the season or another, just haven't been able to hold up when it comes to April. I mean, even against in 2021, I think 2021, 23 against the Suns, he started that series healthy. Was great, and then just happens to just I guess like a slight movement, and he tears his meniscus. Um, he was really frustrated. He wants to be out there. I think he wanted to play most of those, and I think he would have probably played through this Mavs series. 100% would have played if the team didn't shut him down. I think he wanted to play no matter what. He wasn't willing to take any injury excuse, and unfortunately, the team just decided, hey, this is just it's not smart to play you. Um, you're hurting the team. You're hurting yourself. There's just no point in doing that. So no, he definitely wants to play. I don't think anyone who thinks he doesn't want to play and is just resting games for because he doesn't feel like playing or that's bullshit. I don't buy that. That's no.
For sure, for sure, for sure. Okay, so obviously over the playoffs and over the this past season, didn't get the job done that we wanted to. Um, Transition to a new season is going to look like a different roster. We got some movement, we got some people that left, and we got some people that moved in. So let's obviously talk about the elephant in the room. PG's departure and Russ's departure. Not that I want you to go too deep into the personal, how you felt, being around both of them. Well, actually, I kind of do. What was it like being around them this year personally? And did you get any type of, things that you can kind of talk about how they are as just people, not just players, like in the locker room? How is their demeanor? How do they treat the beat writers and all that stuff?
Oh, we're talking about Paul and Russ.
Yeah, PG and Russ.
Yeah, I mean, Paul was great in his time here. I mean, nothing but great things to do. I mean, I think it's tough when you look at it like right away. Like I think you can't. To me, it's kind of tough because you can't say like I just find it tough that you say like you want to be committed to winning, but then you're also chasing money. I think it's fine to go for the money, 100%. I don't think there's any problem going for the money. I would do it in a lot of situations. I think a lot of other people would too. I just think it's one to say you want to win really bad, and to turn around, but then say you want more money. It's just a weird little balance there. I didn't really have a problem with it. It doesn't really matter what I think about it, in my opinion. Like I don't think anyone should care what I have to say, or what anyone else has to say. Like if Paul can go out there and get 212, he absolutely should go get 212. That's life changing generational money. And so I think Paul was great to work with in the 5 years that he was here. Um, Really enjoyed it. He was one of the guys who was really open with us. I think there were days where James didn't feel like talking. There were days where Kawhi wasn't available or didn't feel like talking, and I think Paul was just as transparent as he could be with us, and I think we appreciate that. Great to work with, and it was always fun to chat with him about video games and shoes, and sometimes kids growing up. So no, it was he was a great guy to be around. I think the Clippers will definitely miss him. Um, you know, Star power wise, I mean, he's a great dude again. So um, wish him nothing but the best in Philly. I think Philly's getting a really good player, and I hope he does well out there. Really, um, Russell Westbrook was um, kind of tough because I don't really feel like he got the fair shake that he kind of deserved.
Mm,
He got here last mid-season, didn't really have any training camp to work with, and just kind of was just thrown into the fire. And I know they went 0-5 in those first 5 games, but they were close in a couple of I want to say 3 or 4 of those
competitive.
games they lost by just a couple of
Yeah,
points. So
competitive
um,
games.
yeah, one of them was the game against the Kings. They led by 14 with like 5 minutes left, 4 minutes left, and they lost that one. So um,
Hmm.
I think he just never got a fair shake to be in the role that they wanted him to be, that he wanted or he expected to get, which was the kind of the starting point guard role. I think he got that to start the year, and then the Clippers went out and traded for James Harden, kind of threw everyone's role in flux. Mostly because, in my opinion, once you got James, I thought you couldn't start Russ and James together, in my opinion. So, um, sorry, give me a sec.
No,
Yeah, you couldn't start them both together. So yeah, I thought once they got James, it was pretty much a wrap on him and his role. It was going to be really hard to make it work, in my opinion. Like he didn't seem like a guy who to me would have been okay with a bench role, and I think he did the best he could. I think it did kind of throw. the rest of the team out of whack because we had to find where Terrence and Norm really worked together. I think finding the Mason injury and then having to get Daniel Tice and then throwing that kind of big man thing kind of threw things into a wrench. So, um, I mean, Russ was good to work with. I'm not, didn't have too many bad experiences. I mean, I know there were times he probably didn't want to talk to us, and we felt that. But yeah, I think from the minute he got here, he just played his hardest and um, pretty much did what he was asked. And I think that's pretty much all you can ask. Again, this is a minimum signing that uh, he was expected to do a lot. So, um, yeah, I hope he does well in Denver. I think his strengths will hopefully be better utilized there than they were here. I think they were going to be utilized here until they got James Harden, and then it was kind of like, all right, James is the better scorer, the better playmaker, and we got to just dive further into that and play out of him. As he said, I am a system. So yeah, I mean, great guys to work with, both James and Paul, PG and Russ. Yeah, I wish them both the best. It was great to have them here. I think fans really enjoyed having them here. The star power, the electricity the arena had every night. I mean, you were there, you saw some of that on a nightly
Mm,
basis. So
mm.
yeah, it was great. Wish them the best, and I can't wait for those return games.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So with that being said, obviously, they're both gone. And let me just ask you this last question with the whole PG thing. Did you feel like the Clipper Nation, when they come back, do you think he's gonna get booed or do you think he's gonna get cheered? Same thing with Russ, the tribute video. How should the Clippers remember Paul George? Not so much Russ because he wasn't there a lot, but how should the Clippers really, take back and treat Paul George? Is it kind of like something where you think like how he left was kind of like a little bit bad vibes, or do you think
No,
that
I don't think
the
he left
Clippers?
on bad vibes. I just think it was a bad idea to go on his podcast and call him the B team. That was just strange.
Mm,
Like I think when he left, like if you look at it, like okay, the Clippers can't go over the second apron. The Sixers have max space, and you want to get paid. That's perfectly fine. I think go get your money. Again, that's generational money. That's just you can't pass that up. The
yeah,
difference between 150 and 212, like you're taking that. I'm taking that. You're taking that. Like everyone's taking that, and it's fine. I just think just kind of like crapping him on him a bit on the way out was just kind of strange. Call him the B team, and the whole right side of basketball is important, not championship. Like I just thought that was a little strange. Um, as
do you
far as
think it
what they
was
get
more
back, I
than
mean, look,
you think it was more than just do you think it was more than just him wanting to leave because of what the Clippers offer, or do you think there was more outlying reasons why he wanted to leave?
no, I think it was just because of the money. I mean, I think he gave the Clippers multiple opportunities, um, and they had
Okay.
multiple conversations to match that. And I think as you got closer to, I think they even met the day free agency was about to begin.
Hmm.
I believe they met, and he kind of gave him one last chance, and they said we're not going to do it. So he said, okay, I'm not going to be back. And so
Okay.
he went to meet with Philly, and that was what happened pretty quickly, and we're done. So no, I don't think it was anything like that. I think T. Lou and the guys there still have a lot of love for him. Um, and I think Kawhi even said he understood that this is just a business decision. You can't pass up that kind of money in his position, and so yeah, you take it. I think before he made those comments on his podcast, he probably gets a pretty loud standing ovation. After he went out and called the Clippers a B team, not sure what that really looks like. You probably might get some boos in there. I still think you get some cheers. He's all-time Clippers leader in three-pointers, I believe. Most
Hmm.
threes in a season as well.
Hmm.
He's the one who kind of helped lead them to the 2021 Western Conference Finals. And they had a really good chance to win that too. So no, I think he should be remembered well. He's one of the greatest Clippers ever. Again, leading three-point shooter, and so I think when you look at those things, um, he deserves an ovation. He'll probably get some booze because of his comments, but it is what it is. As for Russ, I think Russ definitely gets an ovation just for who he is. He's Russell Westbrook. He's always energetic, and I think he's going to get a lot of love regardless. So that one's no question. That one's going to be a lot of cheers for sure.
Right, right, right. All right. So obviously we're going to the new season. Our team looks very different. We picked up five new guys off this move. With PG, we picked up Mobamba, we picked up Nicholas Batum. He's coming back to the team. You got Kevin Porter
Hmm.
Jr., you got Chris Dunn, and then you got Derek Jones Jr. Five guys right now that they picked up. For PG and Russ leaving, and also Mason Plumlee leaving as well. and Daniel Tice. What obviously they're like the big media is talking about we're not in that mix of being contenders right now. Honestly, in your personal opinion, where do you look at the Clippers going into next season? Do you think that they're going to be able to surprise some people? And if you do, how far do you think the Clippers can go at their best play, their best game?
Oh, I mean, at best, they'll probably be a first round exit. I, I,
Wow.
it's tough because like I struggle to see like one if they can be healthy. They just haven't proven they can be healthy at the top. Whether it's Paul or whether it's Kawhi, I just haven't seen that. And I think we're past the point where we're saying if healthy, like prove it. I know it's not. I know it's not really on them. Like those are freak injuries. It's not really something you can control at all. Tearing your ACL, diving for a ball, injuring your elbow, like the meniscus. What else happened? Knee. Paul George's knee against the Thunder. Like
Yeah,
Kawhi's knee. Well, like you can't control those things. Those are just freak
yeah,
accidents.
yeah,
Um, but at
yeah.
this point, I'm just like you got to show me that you can be healthy. That's really all it comes down to. If Kawhi is close to 100% in the playoffs, I can't
Hmm.
rule the Clippers out at all. I definitely can't. Don't think that because the playoffs are very matchup based. You have a great three level scorer and playmaker in James Harden, and you have arguably one of the greatest playoff performers ever in Kawhi Leonard. You just got to get there healthy. I haven't seen it, and I'll see it. I'll believe it when I see it. Is the biggest thing. Um, and so yeah, I mean, I think uh, Kawhi played 60
68.
some games, 68 last year.
Hmm.
I don't know if you can count on that again this year. After what happened, I'm assuming you're going to see him rested on pretty much all back to backs. Again, I haven't heard anything. I'm not. This is not reporting of any kind. I'm just of the belief that they'll try to play it safe with him again, like they did a couple years ago, resting him on back to backs, one half of back to back anyway, and making sure he's close to healthy come playoff time. Um, I think James Harden usually healthy. I think he played a lot last year and kind of just burned out by the end of the season, the regular season. So I think you also need to manage him and make sure that he's not overused completely. Um, and then from there, I think you just have to see what you can get in some of the other guys. Um, in I mean, what you're going to get in Batum, but what are you getting out of Derrick Jones Jr.? I mean, you know what you're getting defensively, but can he be the guy that makes it? The knockdown 3 pointer. Is he
Mm.
going to be that guy? Because I think he showed it at times last year, especially in the playoffs. But I think the role players for Dallas also shot like I think someone I saw that they shot like 9% from three in the finals or something
Yeah,
like that. It was like
yeah. It was
PJ,
bad. It was
Kyrie, and
bad.
DJ. Yeah. So
It was
like if,
bad.
if you can get the role players to play well, like that can change anything. Um, what KPJ was signed to a 2-year deal. What is the plan there? Is he going to be a guard you
See,
think will be playing in April, or is
Th-
he
that
just
that's the thing though, because you got KPJ, Chris Dunn, Bones, James, Norm. You got 5 guards on the team that all need playing time. So I think they have a plumix of guards, and Bones. It might look like he's going to be out the rotation again. And then you got KPJ and Chris Dunn and Norm, who's going to get those minutes. And then you got Harden, how many minutes he's going to play. So it's a lot of figuring out they got to do.
yeah?
But do you think they picked up enough defense to be a top contender team? Because you picked up 3 guys that can guard on the ball, and then you got T Man, who what he did with Luca last year.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
you got a lot of
I
defense
think
there.
defensively, they'll be fine. I think they transitioned out of having the stars be the defenders. And now they got solid defensive role players, and the stars can kind of worry about offense, and playmaking and stuff like that. And the role players will still be able to hit the shot. So, um, yeah. Again, I think I'm not sure what their ceiling is. It's probably at best maybe a second round exit. Once matchups come down to it, but again, it could heavily depend on matchups. Like I think entering last year with Kawhi, I think the Mavs were a solid matchup for the Clippers. You just didn't have Kawhi. I
Mhm.
thought there were a couple other teams there that were really solid matchups too. They just didn't get them. So, really comes down to who you get in the playoffs and if you're healthy. Because again, none of this matters if Kawhi's not available in April again. We're not really we're wasting our times here. So
Okay. Speaking pertaining to the Western Conference even more, what teams in the Western Conference are the Clippers favorable against, and what teams do you would try to stay away from? Because the way I see the Western Conference right now, I mean, you got OKC, you got Dallas, you got Denver, You got obviously the Lakers. You got Phoenix. You got Memphis coming back. So you got
Yeah.
quite a few teams. So what are the teams that you feel like we should stay away from? What teams can we match up? New Orleans is going to be good this year if they can stay
You
healthy.
said which
So
teams are going to be favored against?
what teams are you going to be favored against, and what teams should we stay away from? Like what teams do you think are bad matchups for us?
Uh, Pretty much all of those teams are are not great matchups. I mean,
Oh.
like the Lakers can be solid. Like the Lakers matchup can be solid. They played well against the Suns, but like uh, in a playoff setting, like OKC got bigger with Hartenstein, so that's a tough one.
That's a big one. And
Minnesota was always
Caruso.
going to be tough.
Yeah.
Um, the Mavs, even though he's a little bit older now, I mean, the Mavs still show that they have, the ability to kick it into another gear defensively. They got Klay Thompson, John Morant, and the Grizzlies are going to be back. Um, New Orleans got Dejounte and kept C.J. McCollum, Brandon Ingram, I believe, and Zion Williamson. So like, there's a lot of. I wouldn't say they're favored against a lot of those teams. Maybe the Lakers and Suns, but I'm probably missing a couple of teams. Let me look at who else I'm missing. But um, let
Yeah,
me
the Spurs
see.
are going to be in there
Denver,
again.
it's going to be hard. They've won two straight against Denver, but Denver's going to be tough. Sacramento always plays them well. They play a fast-paced game. I wonder how that changes with DeRozan there. Maybe against Golden State they could play well. Um, I don't think really anyone else there makes. Maybe Houston got a little better, um,
Yeah.
depending on what they do. So like it's hard for me to say who they're favored against. Like I think all those teams are going to be tough matchups. Um,
Let me ask you a better
I think
question.
there's going to be a
So
lot of interesting games. Yeah,
what team do you feel has a better player than Kawhi Leonard in the playoffs?
the one who's healthy. Like unfortunately, that's what it comes down to. Like no, I'm not. I'm just like that's the thing. Like every year we go into this thing. Oh, Kawhi is probably the best player performer, and we know that. But he's just again, it's not on him. It's just not. He hasn't been available. Like I probably wouldn't take him over. Maybe Nikola Jokic might be the only guy I take over him. Maybe. Um, Other than that, like I don't think I've taken maybe Steph. Maybe I don't know, but like
Yeah.
Kawhi is definitely one of the best for sure, for sure. In the East, in the West, he's probably top three or four for sure. He's
Mm.
just routinely not available, unfortunately. So again, if they get there, if they get to April in the playoffs and Kawhi's healthy, like 90% healthy, they have a shot against anyone, any team they have a shot against.
Mm. Yeah, I like our chances. If Kawhi is on the court, I like our chances. And I think
Hundred
just with the
percent,
Western,
100%.
just with the Western Conference, like I said, not being it's not so much top heavy as it usually is, and more depth. And it's like a lot of teams are still kind of work their kinks out. Like you had Dallas and Minnesota in the conference finals. Like I don't think anybody expected those two to be there. I think again the defense that we put around
Minnesota,
Kawhi and
yes, I
Harden,
think Dallas had a great path. They had a really great pathway.
great path.
Undersized OKC, no Kawhi Clippers. Like they had a good pathway, and sometimes you need that. Um, but Minnesota, I thought was had they were good enough to be there for sure. And then
Yeah,
Dallas was a bad matchup for them. So like again, it's all matchup. It's really really matchup based. Like Minnesota was built to take down Denver. They took down Denver, the team everyone was trying to build it to beat, and then couldn't beat Dallas because Dallas just spaced the floor out. It's just it's tough. It's how it is sometimes.
for sure, for sure. Well, let me give you a few more questions, man. We're gonna get up out of here. So the basketball sense, but let's talk about the business. We're going to a new stadium, into a dome. Have you been there yet? Have you got a chance to visit, this new stadium yet?
I have not. They had a couple events, and I wasn't able
Wow.
to get into those yet. So I will. I hopefully will soon. But I've not been able to check out the arena. They've had a bunch of concerts. I don't even think they've had a basketball court set up there since like the a couple weeks back. So no, not yet. But I will soon.
Okay. What's do you believe in the crypto, the curse of us being there? Do you believe in that type of stuff when it comes to us getting our new arena? Because I talk to a lot of Clipper fans, and them coming on my podcast, they constantly keep saying, yo, this is gonna be the year we're finally healthy. We got our new arena, it's gonna be a better vibe, and this, that, and the other. It's a state of the art arena. Do you buy into stuff like that, like that type of thing, with us having like a better vibe?
I mean, I don't. I maybe it's possible. I don't know. I mean, it can't get any worse, right? You'll have fewer afternoon games, and you have your own arena, so it can't get worse. So I'm sure, why not? Let's see it.
Man, I just want to see what the I guess you can order food from your seat. You don't have to get up and go to the actual vendor. Is that something
There's
that
a
you heard too?
lot of things they set up in there. They set up a lot of those. They set up the contactless, just walk in and out with food. And the same with the team shop. So there's a lot of things they set up there. I think they're kind of just working out some of the final kinks in that here with the with the concerts they have going on. But
Hmm.
after like the first couple of days, I heard that everything's been going pretty smoothly at that arena. So I would assume, yeah, they've kind of figured it all out, and should be ready for basketball by the time the Clippers season is around the corner. So yeah,
Let me ask you this last question, man. Steve Ballmer, Lawrence Frank, um, Ty Lue, how do you feel like they've been managing the team as far as not just off the court, but as far as the pickups that we had in the transactions? How do you think Steve Ballmer and Ty Lue and Lawrence Frank been doing as far as the job there? Like things that they can improve on and things that we can get better for this upcoming season.
I think there's always things you feel like you can improve on. You not seasons don't always go the way you want them to or you plan them to. So I think the Clippers have done about as best as they could have from um, maximizing what they've had. Again, considering like if in a perfect world without injuries, the Clippers probably have one by now. They probably win in 21. They have a good chance the next couple of years. So like they've been there. They've definitely been there, and they've had the perfect roster to win the whole thing. Health has just kind of eliminated them from all those opportunities. So, yeah, all things considered, Ty has done about as great of a job. I think once we got past a little bit of the Marcus Morris situation, I think it was pretty. He's done a pretty good job coaching. Widely considered one of the best coaches in the league, up there with Spo and Pop and Steve Kerr for a reason. So, I think Lawrence Frank again, given the different salary cap restrictions and all these possibilities you have to think about 1, 2, 3, 4 years down the line. Like, and they've built this team about as best as they could. They had a plan to re-sign Paul George, and if they couldn't re-sign Paul George, they had a plan to build beyond Paul George, while also
Mm.
keeping roster flexibility. So, I think they've done a great job, top to bottom, given what they've been given. Like the new salary cap, the new CBA was created essentially to stop teams like the Warriors and the Clippers from overpaying every single year
Yeah.
without any strict penalties. So, um, I think those two have done a great job. And Steve Ballmer is again committed to winning, committed to doing what he needs to do to put a winner out there. That includes building the new arena. That includes a lot of the branding stuff and getting the Clippers again. Their own arena is going to be huge. Like that's going to be it's going to
State
be a
of the
change for
art.
a lot of people.
State of the art.
Getting to a brand new arena, yeah. Um, but it's going to be huge for the Clippers to just have their own place and a place they can call home. And so I think when you look at it that way, again, Steve done whatever he could. Lawrence, I think, has done pretty much a great job with whatever he's been given, and Ty as well. So, yeah, I think you always feel like you have room to improve. You're always going to feel like that. Um, but yeah, given the kind of hands they've been dealt with the injuries and some of the roster situations, I think they've done a fine job. Yeah, for sure.
Did you think it was kind of weird though that whole USA how that turned out with Kawhi, coming onto the team and then he was being committed. They saw him work out at the facility and then he goes to Vegas and then all of a sudden that report comes out that he actually couldn't go and then they said that Lawrence Frank and them talked and Lawrence Frank said that hey, we had nothing to do with it. Did you find that a little bit off about Kawhi's health? Because me
Did
personally,
I
I don't
find
think
it a
he
little
was
bit off?
off what was going on.
I mean, um, I've tweeted about it enough. I don't want to go too deep into it, but I will say, like, I they watched him in Vegas. They watched him in LA before. From what I understand, he didn't suffer any setbacks at the workouts in Vegas, and my understanding is he looked great in those. Like maybe he wasn't 100% from what I saw. I think Steve Kerr said he wasn't 100% yet, but he would be able to work his way into that, and that's expected for someone who's been recovering from an injury. That's why they held KD out for so long. He didn't play until the first day of the Olympics.
Hmm.
Um, And so um, I don't know. I know a lot of people ran. I had a tweet where I said, "Why was KD given the time, but Kawhi wasn't?" Again, I think people took that as, "Oh, KD's this." I'm not taking the shot at KD. KD deserves to be on there. He deserves to be given every opportunity to be there, even if it's game 6 of the Olympics or 7, whatever. Um,
Hmm.
I just thought it was weird that they just you know, didn't even give him an opportunity, especially when Tatum and Halliburton were essentially DNPs the whole time. I thought it was strange to remove Kawhi um, that
So
early.
you're not buying. You're
Uh,
not buying. He was hurt. Sounds like.
Uh, well, Lawrence Frank said that he was not hurt. Lawrence Frank said he had no setbacks. Lawrence Frank said that they were disappointed and that they thought it was, I think USA Basketball said Grant Hill said they worked together with the Clippers, and then Lawrence Frank expressed disappointment during a press conference in Vegas and said that he's healthy and expected to be ready for training camp as well. So injury was definitely not the reason. He was not injured. If but what I understand was that.
You're gonna leave it there. But
Again, I just it's very blatant that some weird stuff happened there. I'm not sure what. I don't want to speak on it. Some people said that USA didn't have enough guards. Some people are saying that Kawhi was injured. I don't know. Some people said it was USA. Some people said it was Clippers. I don't know. We probably won't know. But it was it
mm,
was it was a strange situation for sure.
very strange. My man Tomer, always a pleasure having you on, man. It's been 36 minutes. We've been a little bit over. Always appreciate your time. We're gonna have you on here more often. Obviously, you've been with the Clippers, one of my favorite writers, man. You're always welcomed here. Why don't you tell the people where they can find you at on all social media platforms, and we'll get you out of here.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Yeah, you guys can follow me at Tomer Azarly. I think you see my name on the screen, so just that's my handle on Twitter and Instagram. It's TOMERAZARLY. Um, and yeah, you can find my work on clutchpoints.com. Other than that, that's basically where I'm at. It's those three places for the most part. Um, yeah.
My man, my man. Hey y'all, that's an episode. That's a wrap, man. Thank you guys for being here, and we'll be back with y'all with another episode. And go Clippers. Peace.